guys, and welcome back to the Sword of Mercury. So today, we're going to be talking about another fundamental concept, especially to, I would say, guys of this generation, especially because I think that throughout recent years, there's been somewhat a lack of that energy of support that is a lot of times needed to facilitate growth, especially in young guys. So we're going to be talking about one of the primordial sources, or primal, whatever the word is. I guess primordial is accurate. Sources of feminine support and nurturing in the cosmos, which is the moon. So sometimes it's referred to Greek goddess Luna or Selene. Actually, Selene is Greek, Luna is Roman. Anyway, very closely tied in cultures. But it's a whole bunch of goddesses that are actually associated with the moon. So, this concept also typically relates to the concept of death as well. I should put death here, because it relates to the process of changing through cycles of change, concept of rebirth, somewhat. So, this is a very fundamental concept. A lot of figures are actually associated with the moon. In fact, actually, one of the figures from, I guess, more mainstream religion, which is actually associated with the moon, who is a masculine figure, is Archangel Gabriel. But perhaps that'll be a separate video, but typically we're talking more about the feminine energy that is represented by the moon in this video. So this is very important for us to make sure that we have, especially guys, because we tend to be very hard on ourselves. Go to the gym and think we can thug it out basically all by ourselves, and a lot of times that leads to emotional stagnation or lack of emotional nurturing or support. And we almost hit this burnout, or we start to break down a little bit inside because we don't have that support system that a lot of times we need. So again, this applies to females too, but just I find recently, especially in the 21st century, a lot of guys, including myself, that sense of maternal support is really lacking. So knowing that it doesn't just have to come from your support system of, whoever is around you, of like people, but it can also come from the sources of creation. And we're fortunate to have the moon, which does represent a lot of those aspects, and you can feel it when you're in proximity to her, or are in a state where you are reaching out to that force. You can definitely feel it regardless of what state she's in, whether it's a new moon or a full moon or whatever. You can feel the energy. So to go over some of the aspects associated with the moon, we'll get our tappy marker. If you're a young guy watching this in the 21st century and you understand what I'm saying about that sense of emotional support, then just know that you're not by yourself in this. A lot of us feel this way, that we think that a lot of times it's easier to just go on alone, but that doesn't mean that need any less nurturing or support within yourself, even if it's coming from an aspect of yourself or an aspect of creation. You still need to give that to yourself. And a lot of us, myself included, we forget that, and it almost just becomes our nature to just, do battle and do battle and do battle, and not give ourselves that time to support ourselves emotionally or nurture ourselves. But you do need that, and that's why that maternal feminine energy is so important, because that is what helps you grow and overcome those emotional blockages that stagnate your growth. And that's why having a good relationship with that feminine energy is very important. So, as we can see here, some of the aspects that are typically associated with the moon are cycles. So time cycles, so unlike the sun, which is the masculine counterpart, instead of goddess energy, it's the god energy, the creator force. This is more the death force of removing that which is no longer needed. Unlike the sun, which is in a constant state, doesn't go through cycles. The moon goes through cycles in which it's illuminated more, illuminated less. And it doesn't, a lot of the times, it doesn't create its own light. It is essentially using the light from the sun. So it is light that is not self-generated. And it's interesting to note that this typically relates to, people talk about like the moon realm or karma loka, or like sometimes in spirituality they refer to the concept of like the moon, the sphere, the lunar sphere, associated with like protecting or shielding, creating like an energetic barrier around the earth to keep it safe, like a good mother should. And it creates an energetic barrier to keep the earth safe from like darker energetic forces, like lower vibrational entities and stuff like that. And it kind of creates this energetic barrier, which is a lot of times in like works like theosophy and anthroposophy. It describes that the angels kind of have a role to play in maintaining this energetic barrier of the moon realm. The moon realm is meant to keep our realm safe from all those forces that go bump in the night or lurk on the lower astral. The moon realm is meant to shield us from that and protect us, keep us safe. So, cycles, darkness, moon comes out at night, pretty self-explanatory. So, it also is connected to the shadow in that aspect, which is also interesting to note. It's connected with water. No surprise there. You can think of feminine energy a lot of times connected with water. A lot of times, guys are compared to stone, or rocks or mountains or whatever. Something that is stationary, something that's unchanging. And that has been reflective of how we're expected to be in our states of being. We're not supposed to show emotion or whatnot. We're supposed to be like stone, essentially, or what society has told us we're supposed to be like, or whatever. But there is a concept to that is somewhat true, that the masculine energy is more connected to the root center. The moon, or the center that is associated with the water, is more connected to feminine energy, because it's more fluid, it's more adaptable, it's able to maneuver and create movement and move around more. It's more fluid in nature. Adaptability being the word. So there's that aspect. It's more able to maneuver its energy. So there's that. Um, Water is also a force of healing. Like a lot of times, if you go take a shower or a relaxing bath, you feel rejuvenated or restored after. It's because the water has a balancing effect, a nurturing and supportive effect. So that's also why it's connected to that. And of course, we know water is affected, or the tides are affected by the moon. So there's your connection to that. And don't forget that we are 75% water, so that water flows through you and flows through your blood just as well. So obviously, as we talked about, connected to goddesses, connected to goddesses like Selene and Luna. And those represent really the traditional feminine aspects of divinity. And as we talked about, nurturing is another thing that the moon is connected to. So those typically encompass the majority of that lunar energy. And well, traditionally guys are more associated with the energy of the sun, even though it's not always so straightforward. Like, I would consider myself somebody who's like a lot of the times connected with the moon, possibly even more consciously than the sun, just because introspection is another aspect that connects with the moon. And the moon is also connected with the subconscious, the unseen. So, but that is where you find growth, and that is where you can interact with the shadow and the other aspects of yourself that are less conscious. And the purpose of doing that is to do that deep work and reflection within yourself. The word reflection comes up again, especially when we talk about water. You can almost think of when you're in that state of nurturing and support. It's not just about feminine energy supporting you, but it's about the water being in a state where it's comfortable to be still. And when the water is still, you can see reflection in the water of what you need to look at. So, but it's important to have that feminine energy there to let you know that you're in a state that is ready to be healed, or essentially that there's a force there that is going to aid you in your healing process. So, and while the sun acts as a mechanism for healing as well, it doesn't do it in the same way that that the moon does. The moon does it in a more nurturing and subtle way. The sun is a more direct force. It's more straightforward. The moon is very indirect. It's more soothing. It's more abstract. So, I'm not going to harp too much on the moon. I think we covered most of it, but I just wanted to do this video because I was going to do a video talking about the underworld. But I think before we get to that, we should get to the moon, because the moon is a concept which is sometimes tied to that. Because also it is tied to night and darkness, as we've seen on the list. I should have put night there, but it's kind of self-explanatory at this point. Anyway, as I said, though the moon is typically a feminine associated force, it's not one size fits all in terms of, it can only be expressed through femininity. Guys can connect with the power of the moon as well. You don't have to be limited to connecting with any one source of, just the sun or just the moon. connect with both of them. And if you're geared to one, which is maybe not the one that is typically predisposed to your gender, it's not important really, because the most important thing is that you feel connected with yourself. So if you feel more connected to the moon, you work with the moon. If you feel more connected to the sun, work with the sun. It's okay to be a lunar boy. So just means you're like deep conversation. Anyway, I'm probably rambling on too much, getting a little sidetracked from spirituality, but to be honest, I like to get on these more abstract conversational topics with you guys, because it makes me feel like I can be honest and express my thoughts with you guys, and just share my perspective, and hopefully that assists you guys in your personal development as well. So that is pretty much all I have for you right now on the moon, but it is a force that is meant to aid us and nurture us and support us. And if you don't have a feminine figure in your life, or haven't had one to really be a good example of what that supportive and nurturing force would look like, then just realize that that force is always available to you, and it doesn't have to be manifest in a person. And if you're fortunate enough to have someone like that in your life, then I'd say all the more power to you, right? So, and for all the girls out there, connect with your inner goddess, connect with your divine lunar energy too, because that is the energy in which you have access to as well as the sun. Girls can connect with the sun as well. So anyway, I'm ranting too long. My point is, I digress, and essentially just know that whatever energy you resonate with, or whatever energy you feel is beneficial for you, use it. But for the young guys out there, just know that you're not alone in feeling like a lot of times your life is based on battle, and you're not familiar with the concept of nurturing. But just know that you deserve that. We all do, no matter how strong of a warrior you are. Warrior needs time to rest, needs time to recover, needs time to reflect, needs time to heal, needs time to be nurtured and supported. So just know that regardless of your state of having that in your life manifest in a person, you do still require that on some level, but know that it's always available to you, and know that needing that at a fundamental level doesn't make you weak. It just means that you need a little recharge, and this form of support and nurturing is what's going to assist you in reaching that higher state of development in your next level in your development. A lot of times it's hard for us to admit, no matter who we are, that we can't always do it all by ourselves. We can't always do it all alone, regardless of how strong we are, regardless of how much power we have, regardless of what abilities we have, regardless of whatever factors are already at play. Needing help and needing support doesn't make you weak. Being vulnerable and being weak are not the same thing. And if you feel that you don't have somebody that you can be vulnerable with, you can be vulnerable with yourself and connect with that lunar energy within yourself. So, I hope you guys have found this beneficial. Let me know if you guys like me talking about these abstract concepts, ASMR, and let me know if it helps you in any way. Again, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It always helps support the channel. And, you know, I feel like my mission is just to give you guys as much information as I can that I feel like is going to be beneficial for you guys in your personal development as well as my own, and provide it in a way where it's understandable and it's integratable, because if I just throw a whole bunch of information at you guys and it's not in a form which can be explained very easily or interpreted, then I don't know, it doesn't make it very easy to utilize. So, but I really aim to make this channel something where people can come and look for things that might help them overcome some block that they're having in their personal development, or give them something that they feel that they might need to overcome a challenge that they're facing. So I ask that you please help me facilitate that mission, because it really does help. And yeah, this has been the Sword of Mercury. And if you're listening to this to go to sleep, then I wish you snuggly dreams. And again, this is the Sword of Mercury, brought to you by the Prince of Mercury, the Prince of all Mercurians. I wish you snuggly dreams, and I'll see you in the next video.